Well, hello there, friends and family. It's so good to see you again on this Sunday afternoon, which I might add is a chillier Sunday afternoon than what we've been seeing, because we've been up in the low to mid to even high 70s now for a while. Now we're getting back more seasonal here in December. We're starting to get into the 60s, and we may soon be dipping into the 50s for our daytime highs. And unfortunately, for those of us who've got to heat our homes in the deep south, we're going to be dipping into the mid to low 30s. Of course, that's nothing like what we saw in parts of November, especially the earlier part of the month, where we actually got down into the 20s, which in all my life, for at least 27 years I've lived here in Tallahassee, we've never seen before. Temperatures like 26, 24. Oh yeah. You might not think it gets cold in the deep south, but it does. I know for those of you chuckling, up the more northern states, things are a lot colder. But for us, the 20s, we don't normally see till January, late January, or early February. And it's never been for long. Not to say we haven't seen some days in the teens. I know earlier in the 21st century, we saw some 9s and 10s for at least a year or two, but was never for long, a few hours. And that's normally the way it is with us slipping into the 20s. It'll be a few hours in the early morning hours, and as soon as that sun creeps up, we're getting back above freezing. But that was not the case earlier in November. And that all brings to the point of what we're looking at here. And I think we all know it's going to be a lot more expensive to heat your home this winter. And here's what to expect. This is from Time. Now, I've always had a lot of respect for Time. Sometimes not so much, but most of the time. They used to be a respectable news magazine, especially back when it was in print, which it still is, but I no longer get it every month like I used to. Yeah, you can see this lone man walking down, not sure where he's at. Now, we don't get the snow here, except on a rare occasion. Then everybody rejoices, and sure enough, when it does snow, the entire South, we all shut down. You can make fun of us, say we don't know how to drive, 3, 4, 6 inches or a foot. Wouldn't even cause you to not go outside, not to drive, not to go to school. But see, we don't have anything to handle all of that. So you know what we do? We take day off. We enjoy the snow because it's a rarity here in the deep south. What I want to talk to you, and because we are a community, and I think we're all going to be struggling with this winter, maybe already struggling now, is how to heat our homes. What is it costing us? Whether you're heating with electric, which is what we're going to talk about today, or gas. Or maybe it's that heating oil that I remember everybody talking about. When I was a little boy growing up in PA and New York State, every year, heating oil became a hot topic. Yeah. So apparently it was expensive back in the 50s and 60s, and even more expensive now. But here in the deep south, primarily electric is the way we heat our homes when we have to, which until most times is rare. And natural gas, which used to be the cheapest form of energy, not so much anymore, is prevalent all throughout the South. My primary heating here, my floor furnace in the rear of the house, is natural gas. My front furnace is natural gas. between the two combined, 100,000 BTUs. Oh yeah, if I fire them up, you could roast meat in this place. As I can tell you, sometimes I come home and the wife and kids had this place like a sauna. But I haven't had them on in the last few years. I didn't run them a bit last year. And they have yet to be turned on this year. And what I primarily heat with, what little bit I do, is electric with a couple of space heaters. Yep, one up in the front of the house, which actually isn't a space heater. It's a dehumidifier. Yep, uses reverse refrigeration, mumbling, to remove the humidity from the air, which we have quite a lot of here in the South. But during that process, it also exhausts 80-degree hot air. So over the last couple of years, I've used it more, not only as a humidifier or dehumidifier, but as a heater. It's a heat pump. Then here in the back of the house, all I've had is a 1500 watt space heater. Now in the mornings, when I uncover and crawl out of my slumber, I do just exactly what my mother did, my grandmother, my great-grandmother did when I was growing up. And they'd have the kitchen stove burners on and the oven door open to help heat the house back up before all of us kids were awakened. That was life back then, in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and I'm sure before that. And it's funny now, we're making a full circle back in time to that time too. So hey, if you'd like to, and you want to see what I'm seeing, my own personal life, my own personal bill, grab some popcorn, maybe get a cold drink, call your friends and family over, or share the video, so we can all sit around, see what's happening to me, and maybe you'll share what you're seeing in your heating prices, whether it be electric, natural gas, or what have you, in your area. And if you have any tips and tricks, please share them too, because I think this winter and the winters to come, we're all going to need them. So here we are. We're at where I get my electricity from. Yeah. You see, there's only two major electric producers, and I'll say producers because there's some co-ops, there's other ways, but here in the South, from say central Alabama, south, and I might add throughout Georgia, Mississippi, it's provided by not Alabama Power, that's just Alabama. But Alabama Power is part of the Southern Company, much larger, that provides not only electricity, but natural gas to Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and it provides natural gas, not electricity, to Virginia, just in case you wanted to know. But this is our power provider in the deep south of Alabama. And it used to be very economical. Yeah, we didn't even worry about it. But that's not the case anymore. Just this year, well, the first year ever in my lifetime, we've seen 3 rate increases this year. Yeah, 3. One was announced in August. Another was announced in November. And guess what? In the first part of this month, December, they told us there'd be a third. Yeah. They don't tell us how much per kilowatt hour, which that's, what we're billed at. How many of those there kWhs we use. Which if you don't know, that's per 1,000 watts. Yeah, that's a kilowatt hour. And that's what you see on your bill. When it says you use 400, 500, 1,000, 3,000 or whatever. That's the billing rate standard in the U.S. 3 this year. Never before in my lifetime, before this year, could I remember 2. And here in the South, it was a rare occasion to have an increase a year. It would be once every so often. Many years. So this year has broken all records that I can ever remember. Nobody's screaming. We're just all buckling down and turning off everything we can. And I know it's not only going to be me, but it's going to be many of my neighbors, my friends and family. They're going to be bundling up and getting chilly this winter. But let's head over and log in right here. If you'll excuse me, it'll take a minute. I can't show you my password. And I'll show you just what I'm paying and what it may be in the future. Okay? Now, what you're looking at and where we're going to start this journey of what it costs us for electricity and what we pay every day, every month. It's going to start from October the 4th to November the 2nd. And what I did here was out of what a good friend of mine, Reagan Benoit, Southern Boy Prepper, which had electric bills that would choke a cow. Yeah, $800 ones, $900. But mine were up there too during the summer. $200 to keep this place somewhat comfortable. So what I did on this particular month of October was I went around this entire house. I shut my air conditioning down, even though it was still toasty. We're talking mid to high 80s, high humidity. But not only that, I unplugged everything that was plugged in, to include microwaves, toaster ovens, TVs, clocks, all. Now my house already is dark at night. We're back to the 50s, baby, where, our parents used to scream at us and tell us, make sure you turn those lights off when you leave your room. Remember that? Oh, I do. It was an everyday evening statement. And you'd better shut them off or you were going to pay the consequences. And this became my lowest bill for, I can't remember when. I paid $105.84, and you can see right here. It was 37% below my September bill, which I might add, I'd already made reductions to as far as air conditioning. And September was extremely warm here in my local area, mid to high 90s. But the kiddies with the fur coats were having to struggle with 80 degrees here in the house. But my average daily cost was $364. I was real proud of this bill. And you can see it here. Now you can see some spikes in that, where it got up to like 478, 83.47. Yeah, not sure what happened there. Couldn't put my finger on it, just like this here. We actually got down to 30 degrees, and I know what happened. See, this was only 47. This was 65 high and 30 degrees. Here again, this was abnormally chilly for us in the deep south for this time of year. Yeah, I kicked on that dehumidifier, that heat pump that's sitting between the living room and the dining room, primarily for the kiddies. We were down to 36 this day, and you can see it's a little bit high, above my average cost. All these spikes were when the dehumidifier was running, and I could tell that. And that's what's neat about this. And maybe your electric provider has this type of website too. Now, yes, to be able to have this, you've got to have a smart meter. Yeah. And I know for years, a couple of years up to the run out of the smart meters, there was all kinds of stuff going to cause brain cancer, control our minds. They'd be able to shut our power off. Trust me, folks, I talked with several of my Alabama Power friends that work for them, and our linemen. We've broke bread, we've grilled, we've drank beer, we've had fish fries and all that. No, they can't turn your power off because you have a smart meter, okay? Or at least they can't turn our power off here, provided to us by Alabama Power, because we have a smart meter. Just saying. It might be different wherever you are. So I was real proud of this. I made a lot of cuts and everything. And it was an inconvenience. Yeah, when I wanted to use the microwave, I had to plug it back in, and the clock was blinking. Or when I wanted to use a toaster oven, the clock was blinking. Every morning. When I wanted to make coffee, I had to plug it in. The clock was blinking. Yeah, that's an inconvenience. Little things like that will drive us crazy now, won't it? Or like my stove. Plug it in to use it, even though I knew if I was just going to use the burners, I could just use the lighter, light the burners. But I'd plug it in, and the clock would be blinking. Yeah, but you know what? It was okay. I was fine with the kitchen looking like it was a disco. Didn't bother me a bit, because and the reason it didn't bother me a bit was I was saving a pile of money, 37%. But now we're going to take a look from my lowest bill in my memory to where we went with the next one. Hold on. So here we are on the one that, I just paid from November the 2nd to December the 2nd. And we had some historically low temperatures for us in the Deep South for November. And you can see right here in red, plus 67%. I went from 105 and change to 177. Yeah. From under $4 a day to a daily cost of $6.04. Yeah. Now, the first part of the month, as you can see here, and that's the nice thing about this, you can see, like I say, you can see your daytime highs and your nighttime lows. And what happened was, it started getting in the 30s at night. 37's chilly for us in the South. But the problem being, it only got to 54 in the day, so the house didn't warm up so much. Then we dropped into 31 at night. And you can see right here, we got down to 28. Now, 28 degrees here in the Deep South. We got jackets on. Our heavy ones. Then we dropped down to 24, 29, 29, 26. And you can see right here, that caused all these spikes. Because yes, Remember those two space heaters? The dehumidifier heat pump? Well, the other one that I keep on, or turn on, is the space heater I have here in the den. It's one of those small electric space heaters that looks like a fireplace that a very good close friend of mine sent me. Not only is it enjoyable to watch, but it keeps you warm. Yeah, we saw some unseasonable, historic, low temperatures during the month of November. This spike here, which cost me $8.81, was 58 degrees and 35. Not sure what happened there. I might have been cooking in the toaster oven, which is something I want to talk about in a future video, the cost of cooking. Because what you use to cook is going to have a huge impact not only on your electric bill, but your natural gas bill as well. But yet, that's where we were. Try as I may, and I was still chilly. You look at some of these days where it was down. We'll just take this one, 45. When I got up, it was 56 degrees in the house. That's darn right chilly. I know that ain't nothing for Alaska. Or up, around Prudhoe Bay when they get up. And in reality, when I started to think about it, when we were up in Johnsonburg, PA, and Bradford, I can remember going to bed. I'd have my thermals on, my flannel jammies. I'd go to bed, my grandma or great-grandma would come in, tuck me in, and we'd have a pile of duvets and comforters on us, and quilts. Sometimes so much you almost thought you couldn't breathe. But it wouldn't be too long for that ice-cold bed, and you were all toasty warm. And I remember great-grandmother bringing bricks in from out of the oven. She'd put them in a crocheted bag that she'd crocheted, and she'd put them in the bed early, down where your feet were. When you get in that bed, woo, boy, what a treat that was. Of course, I can also remember getting up in the mornings, because one of my jobs was to stoke the coal furnace deep in the basement in Bradford, Pennsylvania, my grandmother's house, with coal. The whole house was heated by a central coal furnace. And I'd run down those steps in my little footy jammies with my coat on and run down that basement, and I'd shovel a few shovels in, get her stoked up, slam on the door. Of course, I'd stand beside that door for a while with it wide open, just to heat myself up before I'd run back up to get on the center grate in the dining room. But this is me, still trying to keep my bill down. I still wound up at a 67% increase once we dipped down into the mid to low 20s, which is nothing for many of you. But December, we had another heat wave. And I'm going to tell you right now, I prayed to God himself, Father God, and I told him we could use some help this winter. If there was any way possible he could make it a warmer winter, not only I, but I think everything on his planet would benefit from it and be all the more grateful. I didn't have a problem praying for that. Maybe you did too. Now here we are to my current electric usage for the month of December, which will run from December the 2nd to January the 4th, 2023. You can see right here A monthly bill estimate is from $99 to $149. The cost trend is a minus 44% to a minus 16. My cost for these 8 days so far is $30.21, with an average daily cost of $3.78. Now, if you remember back in October billing, I had a daily cost of $3.64. Yeah. It's not because I'm doing anything more. It's because of temperatures. Yeah. You can see right here. 75 for the high, 52 for the low, 67 and 59. But it was even lower because I didn't turn anything on. 75 in the day, 58. 80. We got up to 80 on the 6th. No, I didn't have no heat on, even though it was 67 at night. I didn't have no air on either. Then on the 8th, we're at 80, 60 at night. You can see it's even lower. But then we're at 81 and 55 degrees, and I don't know why it spiked up so much, but it did. Same way here is 80 and 54. And then, just yesterday, being the 10th, this is now the 11th, is 74 degrees and 58 at night. But this is a neat tool for tracking things. Now, I do think that spike right there on the 8th I was cooking. And I want to do a video about that, the cost of cooking. Because you'd be shocked. Maybe so. What's the most expensive thing in your kitchen to cook with? You ever thought about it? Maybe you should. I have, and I've looked into it in depth. I know what cost me the most and what cost me the least. And we got to think about these things. You know, us poor folk, not only poor, low income, the working poor, the disabled, and seniors, we all got to think about this. And we should think about it. How can we save? And that's why I wanted to do this video and share what I'm seeing. Maybe some of you have got far cheaper rates. Now, as far as I can tell, my energy use is extremely lower. However, my electrical rate increase has been 42% since August. And I've heard here in the U.S. there are places where it's 50, 67% and above. And if you think for a minute it's the worst in the U.S., yeah, go to Europe, the U.K., any place in Europe. They're seeing anywhere from 100 to 168% increase in electric prices. And the same or more with natural gas. I don't even know how they are making it over there. If any of you are in Europe and would like to share what you're paying for electric and gas, I'd love to hear from you. I think our community would love it too. And what do you do in the state toasty this winter? Now, I know people are going to say, well, you should add insulation to your home. More attic insulation. Insulate floors. Insulate your walls. Yeah, that'd all be a good thing. I could use way more attic insulation. But I don't got the money. I'd love to increase my attic insulation. From parts of the house I got 4 inches. Parts of the house I got 6. But I don't got the money. Others will say, well, you need to have them double pane or triple pane windows. Yeah, I'd love to have those. I got just old single pane. I'd love to have them. That gets back to that more money thing. Now, what I do with when I can, because Lily has a problem with it, I put up that thin plastic sheeting. You put tape strips around, put the shrink wrap plastic up, take your hair dryer, stretch it tight. That will cut down on drafts. And if it's not too cold for too long, it helps out a lot. Unfortunately, Lily Bit's not too big on it. As you see in my front window, she tore it all up. I've also done something that works out really well when the temperatures are really low. I've taken and cut bubble wrap. The small bubble. Pack the window full, then put over the thin plastic shrink wrap and heated it tight. Now that's jam up. So that helps out a great lot. And it's fairly economical. But then it gets back to Lily Bit. Yeah. I'm waiting for her to grow out of the stage where she's got to run around the house and jump on every window and make sure she can see Papa. Gracie don't do that anymore, but Lily Bit still does. Yep. I try not to lose my temper over those things. But she's my baby, and I love her. But the reason I did this was I wanted to see what you're seeing, what you're paying, what you're doing to get through this winter. Another thing I'm doing, and somebody mentioned on my last cooking video, well, I see long sleeve shirt on. You betcha. I've been wearing them long sleeve shirts when the days have got chilly, and I plan on wearing sweatshirts and sweatpants when it gets even lower. Yeah. And I've got some 30-degree mornings coming up here in the following week, where we're going to be in the mid to low 30s. A couple of mornings we're going to be right at 30 degrees. We may dip it back into the 20s. And I'm determined not to turn any heat on in this house. Now, one thing I do got going for me is I got one of them electric mattress heaters. That makes sleeping comfy. I got an electric blanket, but I also got an electric throw. Yeah. That very close dear friend sent to me to keep me warm. That I can drape over my shoulders here at my desk or throw over me when I'm on the couch watching YouTube or a movie. Yeah. So I'm doing those things. I'm doing what we used to do back when we were all young. We didn't strip down to our t-shirts and shorts when we first came into the house. I got friends that do that. First thing they do is come in, strip off the work clothes, and almost get naked. Well, I got to be comfortable. Well, hey, I'm just like all of you. I got to save money. I got kiddies to feed. I got doctor bills, prescriptions to pay, food to buy. And you already saw my last video where food has done went past crazy to insane to now, like the movie Spaceballs. It's done went to plaid. Yeah, really. So, maybe in the comments below this video, you'll tell me what your electric bills are, what you're paying for natural gas. I'll tell you my last natural gas bill was let me get it here. It was exactly $31.70. And you might say, $31.70? That ain't nothing. Well, the month before, I used the minimum that you get just because you have an account, 400 cubic feet, and it was like $11 or something. You got to pay that anyway. But this month, last billing month, which was for that same time period, it was from, well, it's not, because good old Towsey run a little behind. It was from October the 11th to November the 9th, and that, I had 1,000 cubic foot usage. Yeah. Don't understand that either, other than the fact that I was using a energy hog to cook with, which made me realize it's not only how we eat our home, but what we use to cook our food that can have a drastic impact on our lives. Never thought about that before in all my born days. But since then, this bill I have. So hey, do me a favor, and I know this may have been a boring video, but for the community, those of us who aren't wealthy, maybe it was informative, maybe it lets you know you're not alone in the struggles in life. We're all facing what you're facing, and we're all looking for a solution. Now I'm thinking somewhere out there's going to be some good ideas. Other than the obvious, like I say, put in more insulation, brand new windows, move to Tahiti or the Bahamas. Come on. I don't need to hear all that. If we could do more insulation, more windows, tear our walls out, put in more insulation, we would have already done that. No, we got what we got. Now how can we make it better? So, with that in mind, please leave the appropriate comments below the video. And if you think this will be something others would like, might be educational or informative, and help them in their lives, please share it. Because the more we get looking into this, the more ideas. Maybe some are off wall. I'm willing to look at them all. Maybe out there somebody will have something we all never thought of before. So hey, until I see you on the next video, as well as the kitty crew, Gracie and Little Bit too, y'all do take care. Stay safe. Stay warm as you can, and you must. And prepare as you can and will. May God bless each and every one of you as you bless those in your lives. Goodbye for now. Till next time. Later all.